Just like Centerville, Center Theater, that's a place that not very expensive, is feasible to do. It's got ethnic culture. It's got various different kind of food. We can concentrate right now around the block at the Pacific Commons, in the Centerville around Center Theater, and develop this right here, what we call Midtown and Downtown, in a mixed use.
Thank you, Vinny.
Thank you. Well, first to clarify, I mean, some people talk about like downtown Pleasanton and downtown Livermore, and those are really, open air retail areas. The downtown plan is more of a central business district. I like the downtown plan. I definitely think some of the urban architecture aspects are nice. However, it is just a plan at this point. It's a very bold plan and a visionary plan, but I kind of agree with Rakesh. It's questionable how soon we could get to something like that. A performing arts center is a great idea, but again, quite costly, and I'm not sure how quickly we could get there. I would be in favor of doing something in Centerville to create like the downtown, like downtown Pleasanton or downtown Livermore. I think something like that is quite feasible. And I'm talking about Fremont Boulevard between Central and Thornton. The good thing is, if you look at Castro Street and Mountain View, I look at that as a good example, the infrastructure requirements there are actually not that great. And I think we could do something like that for a fairly reasonable cost. I also think that we need to focus on our historic districts and focus retail there. I do have a problem with focusing all of our retail on Pacific Commons and the block. It's not sustainable development. It's not pedestrian friendly, and it creates competition for our historic districts. And I also like the idea of something to do with the Center Theater. I really think we missed an opportunity there to have the Center Theater be the centerpiece of a nice pedestrian-friendly retail area right there on Fremont Boulevard. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So moving on, you have an opportunity for another question. Teenagers who do well in school and have productive social lives usually do not enter the juvenile justice system. What do you suggest to improve the lives of teenagers in Fremont? Here's a brave soul. Rick's going to answer. And looks like, I think Rakesh is going to. Hey, Rick, ready to go?
Well, I do have a little bit of an advantage in that, and you're right when you say brave soul. I was given a lot of grief about working or choosing to work with 2,200 teenagers every day. I think it's probably one of the most important things that we have is our youth. Our youth is eventually, they're going to be the ones who inherit this city, like it or not, right? So why don't we get them engaged in what directions Fremont needs to go? We have a lot of opportunity to partner with the school district and get some programs going for after school and for the evening times. One thing that is always mentioned here is that there is nothing for the kids to do at night. And it's very true. If you have a bunch of kids who have nothing to do in the evening, they're going to go out and get in trouble. I mean, it's a simple fact. So if we can concentrate on partnering with the school districts, the various school sites, and get activities going other than sports, there are a lot of other things that kids are interested in. There are a lot of kids who are very high tech. They're interested in making movies. They're interested in performing arts, in a variety of activities that we could keep them going and keep them either on the campus or at another location, to keep them off of the street at night, to keep them occupied, and to get them involved. And later on down the road, hopefully they're going to be involved in the workings of our city. This is going to be their city one of these days. They might as well get started now on learning how things go.
Thank you. Rakesh?
I've lived in city for 25 years, and I'll say that Fremont is really blessed. If you look, all of us who have come and made Fremont as our home, we're great families. We take care of our kids. Our schools are best because we're involved with their life. And I think one other thing that I hear that the city council do have meetings with the school board and trying to figure out about this crowding in the schools and what else can be done. But I think they're a lot more ceremonial than really they're being implemented. And I have to really agree what has been said earlier is that we really have to go out and talk to the school and say how we can facilitate on-site, on a school site, activities that involve youth, teenager, and the family, and maybe create a situation where you can have family evenings, family night, where the kids can come on the same campus as the adult, and we can just separate them into two different hallways or whatever. So I think there is a lot city can do, but in my opinion, it has to be done working with the parents and the school district, and that's what I call myself as to be the people's candidate, because it's all about the communication with the people that we are elected to serve, and then being part of the implementation team so that things happen. Thank you.
Okay, John?
Thank you. The youth in our community is something that's very dear to me. I've been a Niles Little League umpire for almost 9 years, and my son's long since grown and gone, but I still enjoy it very, very much. And it's a great place to see kids off the street having something to do, an activity where they can enjoy themselves and feel good about themselves as they're doing it. I've also been a strong supporter of Young Life, a great organization that helps take care of kids and teenagers that have lost their way. Our family started a charity many years back called One Child. That charity helps underprivileged children go to school with fresh, new clothes, backpacks, and school equipment so that their self-esteem is not affected and they're able to progress through their schooling well, and their self-esteem is kept high. The youth in our community, when I talk to school board members, and I've already done that, I've talked to school board members here in Fremont, I've talked to them in the Tri-City area, I've talked to Congressman Mike Honda about education and school for our children, and there's many things that we can do, but I think it starts here at home first. And I will tell you that our community people, the people that are out there right now in each of our districts, are anxious and happy to begin doing something to help keep our youth active and involved. To that extent, when we go to do development in our city, when we're trying to attract high-tech entities into our city, I would like to see a partnership of some sort, a corporate partnership, whereby we get computers for our children, computer engineering classes and stuff like that for our high school students, but also develop that in elementary school age as well. We all need to be involved. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So let's see. Here's another question. Should Fremont approve further residential development? Does the city have sufficient resources to support this? And if not, how will these amenities be provided, such as police, fire, and schools? Okay, it looks like I see Rakesh and Vinny and Rick. So Rakesh, are you ready to go?
Okay. As I said earlier, that I have been planning commissioner for City of Fremont for 8 years, 2008 to 2010. And I can say on record, I'm not against development, and I'm not against saying that nothing should be built in Fremont. And I think if you look at the study that says that the Fremont population is going to increase about 2,000 or so per year for next 20 years. Now, it's all about smart growth. When I was planning commissioner, I always looked at where the projects is going. As you have heard earlier, that most of the Fremont is built, and therefore we're going to be working on the infill sites. And you know where the infill sites are going to be popular. So we really have to look at the individual site, talk to the school district, make sure that it doesn't really overcrowd a school out of the way. Also have to keep in our mind that we don't really deprive. You know, my kids are going to grow, and they're going to go in 5-6 years out of everybody's. They go from elementary to high school to college. So we also have to keep that in mind, that we provide a student to every school so that they stay open. At the same time, we allow only the projects to be built that make sense for the community, for the school district, and improve the quality of life with every one of us. And I've done that on Planning Commission.
Okay, thank you. Vinny?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Should Fremont approve further residential development? Does the city have sufficient resources to support this? And if not, how will these amenities be provided, such as police, fire, and schools?
Well, the short answer to the question is no. And I think you've really hit the crux of the problem. We have focused way too much on providing residential development. And unfortunately, due to Proposition 13, residential development is simply development that does not pay its own way. We do not get enough from new residential development to pay for police and fire services. And as I've heard one person put it, if residential development was good for a city's economy, then Fremont's economy should be doing really well. But it's not. And one of the areas that we've talked about here is definitely with schools. And in my opinion, our current council has not done a good job of making sure that new residential development has the necessary nearby schools. I want to talk for a bit about Patterson Ranch. When that was about to be approved, Dr. Morris, the superintendent of schools, he got up and spoke at the Planning Commission and council meetings, and he said, "You can approve these homes if you want. I have no schools for these kids, and we don't have the money from the development fees to build new schools." So right now we have a 600-unit development that has been approved and simply has no local school associated with it. This is simply bad planning. And I will gladly refute the excuse that we were in some way obligated to change the general plan to allow for these homes. I pledge that if elected, I will not approve new residential development unless we have nearby school facilities already available or have the complete funding available to build these necessary schools. And I'd like to know if other candidates would be willing to make that same pledge. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick, and then Mark, and then John.
Okay. Very simply said, right now, we are at a point where we cannot service what we sell. Our city services, our police department, our fire department, along with all the other city services, can't provide the services that they should and that our citizens deserve. In order to increase our residential development, we are going to have to find a way to first bring in our retail development, to increase our tax base in order to increase our services, to increase the availability of schools and room in our classrooms, whether it be by adding portable classrooms to some of the school sites. We have the ability as long as you have the money. But in order to get the money, first you have to increase our tax base. And that, unfortunately, is going to mean that our retail development is going to have to take priority over our residential development. The residential development that comes in is going to have to be smartly done. It's going to have to be concentrated near some transportation hubs. It's going to have to be convenient to existing school sites. And it's going to have to use the space that we have within the city. We have no room to grow anymore. We're going to have to use the infill spaces that we have now.
Thank you, Mark.
I agree with the other candidates when you talk about the resources are not available at this time. I also agree that we need to expand our business first and then increase the tax base so we can actually get these resources. The plan for the downtown is an example. It has mixed-use properties for housing and for retail development. If we get the retail in first, then we can get the resources to support the housing that's going to go into that area. One of the ideas or some of the things that can be done is developing Centerville. That area there is already existing. If we were to develop the cultural center that they were looking at the theater and then get some businesses in there, we can actually bring in more money. Also the Warm Springs project, where we're bringing in industrial and green tech in there. That is a large way of getting money into the city, which then we can use to develop. I agree that we need to do smart growth. We have to decide which areas and how much, and not just allow everybody to just, let's build 1,000 homes and then we'll deal with everything else later. I think that's been done before, and as it been mentioned before, it has taxed our system to the limits. Thank you.
Thank you. And John?
Thank you. Anytime you talk about residential development, I think the first thing you need to do is talk to everybody that's involved. We call them stakeholders. When I first started to think about running for office here in the city of Fremont, I sat down and talked to school board members here in our city. And the first questions that I had were, are we overcrowded, and where are we at with schools and so forth, and what about development? And got some very, very good input with regard to that. And I think before we tackle any big project like the NUMMI site, we have to involve our schools. I think that's first and foremost. That said, we need to have a balance as well. Our city, our state, and for the most part our nation is crying out for green development. something that where we're not using our cars and automobiles anymore, something that we're transitioning from in this city. When you look at the NUMMI site, the former NUMMI site, that's now the Tesla site, you know, they're calling out for high-density development there, quality high-density development. And most of our urban professionals are saying this is a fantastic idea because we can hop on BART, we can go to Oakland if our job's in Oakland, or people from Oakland and San Francisco can come here and work at our high-tech campus. These are the type of developments that we want to transfer transfer over to help our city grow. But to do that, again, first and foremost, you have to do the homework, you have to do the groundwork, and you have to talk to our schools and make sure that they understand where we're at and work with them to make sure that we satisfy all their requirements. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we have another question. How can public and private transportation work together to keep traffic moving seamlessly in Fremont? So I see Sue and going once, going twice. Okay, Sue, it's all yours.
I serve on the Alameda County Transportation Commission, so I represent Fremont. And what we are concentrating on is transportation and how we can obtain funding to do the types of improvements that we have. And this is where we address potholes, paratransit, bus lines, the BART. If the Measure B1, which is on the November ballot, is passed, we will have money to do the Irvington BART station. We will have money to develop the Warm Springs BART station, and I hope everyone has seen the beautiful BART station that has been planned. It's just absolutely gorgeous. But in addition to that, there will be safe routes to schools. When I first went on the commission, not one school in Fremont was a part of safe routes to school. Since then, we've have over 10 schools and over $45,000 in funding. Safe routes to school reduces greenhouse gas emissions because we are asking people not to drive to school, but to carpool or to use their bike or to walk. And we become healthier because of that. And so I would encourage everyone to vote for Measure B1. It's going to do wonders for our school, for our transportation, and get the reduction of our greenhouse gas emissions and vehicle miles traveled. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sue. So let's try another question. What is your opinion about consolidating some police services with Newark and Union City? Looks like Rakesh and Rick. And Sue. So Rakesh, Rick, and Sue. So Rakesh, ready?
Yes, that's a quick answer. Save some time here. Yes, I would be in the favor of, as long as we're the one who are providing the services. Thank you. I'm done.
Okay, I think I had Rick going next.
I don't really think that a regional law enforcement agency or a police department is something that's feasible. We have police departments in our various cities and the reason that we have them in our individual cities is because they serve the citizens of our cities. And if we were to turn our department into a regional department, you're going to have officers that are spread all over. And we've tried this in the past with our fire department. We tried to venture with the Union City Fire Department to bring them in and hook up with Fremont to try and reduce costs and improve the services, and it just did not work. And police services are totally different from fire. Police services, hopefully, or should be, on a much more personal basis. We're the ones who are supposed to be getting out there and meeting the residents, meeting the business owners, and getting to know our neighborhoods and trying to track our crime patterns. Unfortunately, as far as our department has been cut, we're not able to do those things right now. Hopefully that's something that's going to be restored in the near future. It's going to take a lot of money, unfortunately, to do that. But right now, we simply don't have the resources to do it. And to combine with other cities, I think would just open the door for a lot of problems.
Okay, thank you. John and then Sue.
Well, I'm going to have to agree with Rick on this one. I've talked to our police and our fire, and I don't think regionally that it's economically feasible or it's going to give us enough economic kickback, if you will, to make it work and make it function. We have different needs. of a city of 216,000 people and 92 square miles than our neighbors, Union City and Newark. And to meet those needs, we have to have specific requirements from our police and from our fire. And right now, I don't see the significant savings there to make that regional. Thank you.
Okay, Sue?
I'd like you to know that Fremont Fire and Fremont Police are among the finest police and fire in the state of California. We are so lucky to have the dedicated officers and firefighters that serve us each and every day. And because of that, you know, we are the role model for our Tri-City area. I don't believe that it's economical for us to combine and become regional. I wouldn't support that at this point in time. You know, when I started on City Council 4 years ago, we had a $13.1 million deficit. Today, we are balanced because of the negotiations that we had with our labor units, because of reduction of, I'm sorry, we identified inefficiencies and we've become smarter. And because of that, we are, we allotted, or I should say, we have approved the hiring of 4 more police officers. So, you know, public safety is very important, and this is something that our fine officers and firefighters, both men and women, have given to us. And so I think that, if anything, Union City and Newark might want to join us. Thank you.
Okay. Next question. What city services could be done by the private sector, and if this was done, are checks in place to ensure that the work can be done correctly and does save the city money? What city services could be done by the private sector, and if this is done, are checks in place to ensure that the work is done correctly and saves the city money? No? Sue's going to tackle it. Okay.
So last year, the city did a sustainability study to see where we had some inefficiencies, where we could consolidate, and where we could improve our efficiencies. And so each department was given that task and